Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kaiserreich. We're playing as Azerbaijan. We've probably foolishly sent volunteers to go hang out with the almighty Don host. I'm not feeling it. It's the death of T.G. Masaryk. Today, Bohemian Governor T.G. Masaryk passed away in the governor's quarters in Prague Castle. Masaryk had been in declining health for months, but was famously always there for his people. Edvard Benesh, the new interim governor, has mostly been running the kingdom in Masaryk's stead throughout Bohemia, Slovakia, down to Illyria, where Masaryk campaigned for the Illyrian state. Funeral bells toll. To show their support and mourning, men and women alike have donned red articles of clothing and pinned red roses, Bohemia's famous flower. In Austria, a period of mourning was declared, and the Kaiser Karl's condolences were delivered via radio. The new governor of Bohemia is slated to be elected in about a month's time, but the stakes are large to carry on Masaryk's legacy. Kerensky, Masaryk, who else will this year claim? Who could say? Anyways, it's time to introduce the talent development system. In order to consolidate our achievements, we shall embark on additional personnel development to enhance the proficiency of our entire workforce. The implementation of supplementary advanced training programs will enable us to emerge swiftly from this challenging period and explore novel avenues for economic growth. I love the corporate talk there. Very cool. Maybe are we going to start leveraging core competencies? Either way, the monarchy's been restored in Greece. After weeks of deliberation, the Greek government decided to give the crown to King Georgios II, not to Alexandros I, who is still alive, but many feel should have always been the proper heirs, Alexandros' older brother, and who never received the crown in the first place due to his exile following the Weltkrieg. Where there are lingering doubts as to his legitimacy, the government has assured the people that this fixes an error which has been made long before. The king spoke to a massive cheering crowd in Athens after returning for the first time in many years, saying Greece had finally been returned to the path it was meant to be on, and vowed to work tirelessly to rebuild the country. Interesting. You know what isn't interesting? Me volunteering here. Bye. See ya. Adios, bud. Good luck, Krasnov. I ain't hanging out with you. That seems like a suicide mission. Oh, man. Okay. Okay. Ambush and Zangazur. I think that's how you pronounce it. Zangazur. Violence cleared again near Lashin. Armenian fighters under Gargirin Nizdah ambushed an Azerbaijani patrol, seizing weapons and scattering soldiers in the hills. Local peasants fled their homes, fearful of reprisals from either side. In Baku, the press is divided. While Achig Soz calls for decisive action and full mobilization, deputies Erhar and Humet urge caution. The general staff, however, presses for emergency powers, citing the chaos in the mountain. Approve the emergency decree. Submit to the decree of Majlis Azerbaijan. Arm local Muslim volunteers. Focus on social aid to Border Village. I feel like an emergency degree seems dumb. But, like, I'm increasingly unconvinced I can reach that number. I feel like focusing on social aid might be wise. But let's approve the emergency decree. What's the worst that could happen? Stares directly at camera. No! My command power. I needed that. For commands. Jadidis hold on to power! The government of Mustafa Sokay has proven its resilience in the face of recent chaos. Despite the radical destabilization of the country and pockets of resistance, the central government maintains control of the majority of Turkestan's territory. However, governance remains fragmented, and challenges loom large as Mustafa Shokay's administration grapples with the daunting task of rebuilding a fractured nation. A new dawn for Turkestan? Who could say? I don't think... Manuel Carles. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I just said it. Assumes full control of Argentina. Well, Manuel Carles executed a coup against the Argentinian state on Christmas 1935. The nation was torn apart in a vicious struggle for control of the presidency. LP and forces from the Argentinian Navy quickly took control of the capital, were stopped by forces from the army, who began quickly asserting their dominance over the entire nation, leading to a bloody and drawn-out struggle with the fall of Rosario, a vital railway hub for the inner regions. Carles has proclaimed his coup a success, and has assumed the presidency this afternoon after a rousing speech for his followers in Buenos Aires. Promising vast territorial expansion and an end to the Red Terror that plagues Patagonia, he was met with a wave of enthusiasm by the struggling people of the country. His country. Will this stabilize Argentina? Who could say? I need to get stabilized. Alright. The boys are back from Afghanistan. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'll slightly accelerate. Wallonia has joined the Reichspakt. Hey, good for you. What's happening here? Okay, got it. Whatever. Ooh! Sakhaist insurgents seize Kabul. In the weeks following Afghanistan's crushing defeat at the hands of the Entente, it appears that the already fickle emirate has finally reached its breaking point. Racked by the sudden departure of Emir Habibullah and the failed push by the Crown Prince Nasrullah Khan, the city of Kabul has been left to the wolves. Weeks prior, the Sakhaist forces led by the infamous Habibullah Kalkani, known to many as Bacha Yesako, have circled Kabul like vultures, waiting for their moment to strike. Initially being repelled in previous skirmishes, the Basha and his men had exploited the fallout of Nasrullah Khan's failed coup and finally seized control of Kabul. In search of plunder, Kalkani and his bloodthirsty brigands have laid waste to the city, committing horrific acts that will demonetize me. Not that I care. Looting, rape, and murder. These atrocious acts have already left numerous tribal chiefs to begin mobilizing their levies to oppose the Sakhawists, with the Basha declaring himself Emir. The world can only wonder how long these bandits can hold on to their ill-gotten gains. Will Afghanistan never be at peace? Oh, man. Baku trembles once more. At midday, a tramcar explodes along the boulevard, claiming 7 lives. That evening, a grenade detonates in the courtyard of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Panic spreads through the city. Blaming Armenian insurgents under Nizhdeh. As funerals turn to massive demonstrations, crowd wave flag, demand justice, arrest the agitators. All of them. Do not let fear divide the nation. This only proves the regime's weakness. Do not let fear divide the nation. We need to calm down. Alright, the Netherlands have joined the Reichspakt, which means also so has Flanders. The Germans retain their beef. The 1936 Vienna Summer Olympics. As Austria's first round as an Olympic host city, the Danubian capital of Vienna. Vienna has been selected for new Olympic stadiums. Austro-Hungarian laborers have built a new cultural complex, symbolically promoting unity via architecture. The 1936 Summer Olympics has also marked the first time Austria-Hungary has flown under one banner, a bright and tall flag, showcasing heraldry all across the Habsburg lands. Unpopular in national circles of Austria-Hungary, but praised by Germans in Austria. The largest Olympics yet, the Viennese Olympics has only expanded on the 1932 Dar es Salaam Olympics worldwide roster. New sports include basketball, canoeing, and handball. In a glorious propaganda victory for Vienna, the Danubian team edged out 1 gold medal over Germany, solidifying Danubia's victory. Congratulations to Danubia. Oh, boy. Oh. Phi Bung Song Kram's coup d'etat, the recent Siamese revolution, while outwardly successful, has seen its popularity plummet, taking advantage of the controversial Yellow Cover dossier, the nickname for a proposed plan to overhaul the nation's economic systems and nationalize many industries. A Red Scare was whipped up. Chief of the Army, Luang Phibun Song Kram, intervened just in time and declared martial law nationwide, widely believed to have dragged the nation back from the brink of civil war. The Iron Marshal apparently plans to rule as a dictator until such a time he believes the nation is ready for the responsibility of democracy. And when will that be? We're all asking this. Got infantry equipment. We got better guns. Pew pew. Let's get trucks. We should probably get trucks. It's good to get the general purpose designer buffed. We're not gonna get ideological loyalty. I might as well skip bold attack. The Jalabad results declares war on Afghanistan. What the heck? Who are these guys? Okay, well, good luck, guys. Okay. Indochina declares independence. After the Weltkrieg, Germany seized French Indochina, but stability wasn't restored until Germany crushed the South China revolutionaries in 1926. Now, Indochinese nationalists and leftists under coalition government called the Viet Minh have risen up against the colonial regime. After quoting the French Declaration of Right to Man, the American Declaration of Independence, Nguyen Ninh, the head of the Viet Minh, condemned the brutal German oppression of free people and affirmed Indochinese nation's right to independence. Observers agree with German media that they are just some weak peasants. German garrison forces, or even the police in the Far East, can easily suppress the revolts known as the Viet Minh. They are surely not model colonial subjects. Mau Mau, The Jackals of Kenya. A new book from the famous American leftish author F. Scott Fitzgerald hit the shelves today and won like anything he has ever written before. Fitzgerald had published the new piece after returning from a vacation across East Africa that he embarked on back in 1935. This riveting piece of adventurous literature talks about a small yet vicious bush war that's been raging between the German Anglo dual government, the Free State of Kenya, and the revolutionary tribal occultists called the Mau Mau for over the decade. The short but vivid novel goes on about the Mau Mau's strange tactics, ideas, and beliefs that such as the use of wooden guns due to their taboo against metals, their belief in water rituals that can supposedly block bullets and heal most of their wounds, their use of animal sacrifice and blood ceremonies, and even the more dubious, likely false and exaggerated claims they partake in ritualistic cannibalism and murder, as well as the service of their spirit masters, while also explaining the central pillars of their mysterious ideology that centered around their leader, the Mzee Onyango Obama, who is seen as the avatar of their tribal god, the Ghost Goat, even diving into Obama's personal involvement in the rebellion as one of the leading marshals of the revolt, though certain critics state the claims of his direct involvement are debatable at best. Overall, the book has sold well amongst colonial enthusiasts, African history buffs, and black revolutionary groups around the world over, but has remained on shelves collecting dust in many more conservative places like Berlin and Ottawa that see it as an anti-imperialist hit piece. While other groups decry its inaccuracies that do more damage to the Mau Mau movement and wider African revolutionary activity than good. Regardless, the book has at least done its best to shine some light on this forgotten corner of the world, preserving their legacies. The last of the Mau Mau begin to fall. For now. What does he think he is? A white savior? I have no idea what any of this is in reference to. I know that the Mau Mau revolt is real, and I think that the Obama thing is like a meme. But, like, I don't actually know. I know it's at least kind of a meme. Alright, I'm improving the Gensha School in Science. Established in June 1918, the Ganja Military School has trained generations of Azerbaijani officers through war and turmoil. Once housed in humble barracks, it now stands as the beating heart of our Army's professionalism. By modernizing its curriculum, expanding facilities, and inviting foreign instructors, we ensure that every new ensign carries the honor and discipline worthy of their public service. Most importantly, it gives us population. Oh my gosh. Explosion on the Dnieper! Today, a few hours ago, the Ukrainian king Vasil was relaxing on his yacht. An explosion ripped through the hull, immediately killing him. After that tragedy, Ukraine's Minister of Security received a telegram from a socialist group claiming responsibility for the mining of the king's yacht, saying the action was a result of their exclusion from the democratic process. There was no chance to save Vasil. Thus, the country has been plunged into disorder. The hetman, now alone with an empty throne, has announced that soon the heir to the throne will be chosen by the Regency Council, headed by him, and the secession issue shall be resolved. Before it happens, though, he has announced he will stay as the supreme leader, with martial law still in effect, a tragedy for the entire nation. R.I.P. Rando McBlando. Edvard Benesh, elected governor of Bohemia. Much like his predecessor, Edvard Benesh stole the sudden election of 1936 with sudden ferocity, as he was known to be the one truly behind Bohemia's governing ever since Masaryk's illness confined him increasingly closer to his bed. Cementing victory, absolutely nobody doubts. Benesh vows to continue the great Masaryk's legacy, his hand in the partners' agreement, and a vow to save Bohemia from the careening effects of Black Monday. His cabinet is much the same as it was under Masaryk, only that Masaryk's son is the new second-in-command. Benesh delivered his victory speech to a crowd of onlookers in the historic Wenceslas Square, the very same location where Masaryk triumphantly returned to Bohemia with an entourage, publicizing the partners' agreement at last. Prada Vitezzi, governor. Anyways. Seems like things are going bad for the Almighty Don host. Admiral Kolchak's been murdered in Transamur. Admiral Kolchak, the leader of the Far Eastern Republic of Transamur since 1925, when he attempted to coup the government of President Kerensky, has been arrested and executed today in Vladivostok by disloyal generals. Dissatisfied with Kolchak's firm hand and policies and Japanese dependence, both capitalized, the new government will hopefully try to appease the needs of the citizens. Perhaps he wasn't a good ruler then. Interesting. What a situation everyone is in. What a situation. The fall of Petrograd. Oh, nice. The Western Russian Army grabbed Petrograd. The great Russian city built by Peter the Great was captured today. Russian defenders initially held back the Western Russian Army across the Neva River, but a few days ago this position finally fell. Now a sustained cannon fire on Vasilevsky Island has put the last defenders out of their misery. Some military tacticians say that with proper defense, the city could have held out for years, but the Western Russian momentum carried them through the city far faster than that. The Western Russian Army soldiers using the Palace Square as a staging ground for moving through the rest of the city. And there are rumors of Western Russian soldiers taking celebratory tours through the Great Museum of Artillery, confident they will put their own mark on the history of the Russian Socialist Republic. Terrible for them. I mean, I think that mark they're hoping to put on the history is that it's short. Ataman of Kuban assassinated in Yekaterinodar. Yesterday, the Ataman of Kuban, Nikolai Ryabov, was murdered in Yekaterinodar, supposedly by the radical Russian nationalist clique. After dinner in the restaurant, the only one in Yekaterinodar, he was caught by the killer at night and was dead instantly after 2 deadly shots, which... yeah, okay. The Kuban Rada has announced a week-long mourning for the Kuban's most famous pro-Ukrainian politician. We pay our condolences. Seems bad. All right. Reports flood in from the north. Armenian guerrillas have sabotaged. I should press this button, probably. Armenian guerrillas have sabotaged sections of the Baku-Ganja railway. Several freight trains are derailed. Supply lines disrupted. And small ammunition depot is set ablaze. The fires light up the night sky, visible from the nearby village. Public anxiety grows as disruptions threaten commerce and military readiness. Newspapers demand swift government actions. Repair the damage immediately and punish the saboteurs. This is concerning. We are going to launch some raids in the mountains. 1936 Swedish elections. The ballots have been counted, and the results of the 1936 general elections in Sweden are in. Despite growing concerns over political radicalization across Europe, the Swedish people have once again demonstrated their commitment to parliamentary democracy and constitutional monarchy. With the Democratic Party once again in command, pledging full support to maintain the current status quo of the monarchy and current political norms, Sweden's future is now determined to be one of stability and security. In a speech to assembled members of the press, the newly elected prime minister, flanked by leaders of the coalition and opposition, proclaimed his intention to form a new government. Power is not just power, it is also responsibility. Okay, thanks, Uncle Ben. As expected, Sweden chose stability. And that guy who's in charge is Gustav Bog. No idea who that guy is, but maybe if you're Swedish, you know who that guy is. Improved Ganja School of Ensigns. Oh, boy. I could use some guns. We'll arrange ordnance delivery. Our arsenals are depleted, and the army's armament relies heavily on old imperial stocks and whatever can be important through intermediaries. Negotiations for new deliveries of rifles, artillery, and vehicles, whether from Germany, the Ottomans, or domestic manufacturers, will give our soldiers the tools they need to defend the Republic effectively. I would love some more guns. Xinjiang clique erupts in war. It seems like the Western Gate between China and Central Asia has broken down into violence yet again. Governor Jin Shuren's recent dispute with Kumil has resulted in a large contingent of volunteer soldiers rising up against the army garrison. Rumors say that the Turks of the far west are also preparing to defy the governor once again. The governor of Xinjiang, should he remain Chinese, represents a potential ally to the southern democratic cliques. The Kumliks, however, seem to vary greatly between respect for Beijing to relentless xenophobia. The Eastern Turks, doubtless, would separate from China entirely should they win. Yang Zhengjin's final failure. Afghanistan was annexed. Jalabad Revolt has capitulated. Uncertain times. General purpose designer. Reliable tote artillery. Better trucks. Better infantry equipment. I go with better infantry equipment. Alright, well, that works. The almighty Don Host has been annexed. Uncertain times. And with that, I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.